Welcome to the Think Factory podcast. We got one question for you. What keeps you up at night?
Welcome to the Think Factory's podcast, powered by OGC Solutions. My name is Alka Bahal. I'm a partner with Outside General Counsel Solutions and the chair of our Corporate Immigration Services Group, and I'm your host today. I am very pleased to have with me here Gregg, Chief Product Officer with OSG Connect. Welcome to the podcast, Gary.
Well, hello. Thank you very much for having me. Appreciate it.
I'm so pleased to be speaking with you today. Can we start by having you tell our listeners a little bit about yourself?
Sure. So I reside here in Music City, Nashville area, Tennessee, and love it here. So we have a great time with the family that's all moving this direction from various parts of the nation. So we're happy to have our family out here, so which is great. But yeah, so I long history when it comes to being in the CCM, CXM business. I started off back in the late 1900s. Wow, 1999.
Wow, that's a long career.
Yeah, 2000-ish. Yeah, that started off at a company called International Billing Service, which became DST Output, which became Broadridge, as you all might recall. So I was there 24 now, I think it was about 25 years, and had various roles there from product to enterprise architecture to implementations. And then finally, the last 3 years was owning the overall digital strategy and actually migrations from the DST Output ecosystem to the new Broadridge ecosystem. After Broadridge took ownership of that part of the DST Systems company. So, and then after that, I was at FIS, a very large fintech, for about 6 years, really heading up the overall product and digital strategy for them. Heavy emphasis on the banking side, financial services. So, was a great opportunity to learn about what they do when it comes to the 400 plus products they had in their ecosystem across multiple business units. So fun there, but actually ended up at OSG with helping them drive the overall product strategy and direction. Smaller company than an FIS, which I love. I love the leadership team here. It's great, small feel, family feel, and some great opportunity to help steer the ship when it comes to a digital first mindset in the CCM CXM space. So yeah.
Oh, that's terrific.
5 months in. 5 months in.
5 months in. Oh, so you're still a newbie.
Still a newbie. I can hide behind the newbie signature placard for maybe another year, but we'll see.
Yeah, unfortunately, it comes off at some point.
It does.
But that's wonderful. I totally understand the idea of wanting to be in a smaller environment where you feel more like you can get to know everyone and be a part of the team, and it's a lot more personal.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So tell me something. What is the thing you enjoy the most so far about your new role?
Yeah. So it just, again, still being pretty new, it's really understanding the history, the legacy, the lineage of OSG and the opportunities and seeing where they've come from. And I'm in a position which I think plays into my strengths, which is a big thinker guy, right? And trying to think of the next best thing and how that can steer the ship, right, for a company that we can actually drive and pivot, opposed to larger organizations, very challenging sometimes to move Titanics around, right?
Yes.
As we all know. So
yeah. I
So
love that.
Yeah, it excites me because I can see things already that we've made some impacts on. Now it's really paving the road, if you will, to start to execute against the strategy. So really excited about the team and the support, Sarah's organization, the marketing group, and others just really helping out with getting us to where we need to be. So super excited.
That sounds exciting. It seems to me that you sort of fit in this relatively unique category where you are not only a strategist and looking at the big picture, but you're also an innovator because you're looking for the next thing around the corner and how does that integrate into who we are and what we do and how can we leverage it. So, I mean, from my perspective, that's like big brain stuff that you do.
Yeah, absolutely. It's neat to to throw against the dartboard. What if, and kind of stretching people's minds a little bit when it comes to our space. So I've had the opportunity, been blessed with really spanning the business side of an enterprise as well as the technology side. So I wore technical hat for many years, but also was also on the definition of what the business needs and how our clients view from a business perspective leveraging technology. So it's kind of neat to be able to wear two hats, right?
Yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's a great achievement in your career trajectory,
Thank
which
you.
has been really impressive.
Appreciate that.
So previously we were talking about you think that the era of these sort of static one-size-fits-all communications is long gone. Can you give us some examples of how AI-driven insights and personalization is used to create more effective customer communications?
Sure. Yeah. Everyone gets tired of me saying, "Hey, it's no longer about a static document." In our business, CCM historically was birthed with large PSP print service providers where they would receive data and produce output and print it, and then maybe produce a PDF and put it in an archive, and that was it, right? It was a one-way conversation, if you will. Actually, it wasn't a conversation because it's one way. So
Yeah.
by definition.
Not even a conversation.
Yeah. So more and more, it's really the shift. And boy, AI, obviously you can't get away from talking about AI and how it's impacting the world, and then creeping in very, very quickly into the CCM, CXM space. But, you know, AI with data, they kind of go hand in hand. And I always talk about, personalization. Our customers, they want, especially the marketing side and the experience officer side, really want to see how people behave, and what's the overused term 360 review of a customer, right? That's what the nirvana is, to be able to really know someone, because we all today go through journeys, day-to-day lives with digital things out there, whether you're booking a hotel room or you're doing something with your insurance carrier, you're using a chat bot that most of the time you have to hit agent 5 times, right? and
Right.
and before you can get the answer you need, right? So yeah, AI and data when it comes to understanding how we humans behave, because we all interact, and our expectations have changed in the last 5-10 years. You look at what COVID did to the world when it comes to people, sitting in their homes and leveraging, right, a computer to do life, right? And so that aspect of, hey, how can we really personalize communications? AI helping, but we all have probably played with ChatGPT. You ask it a question, a prompt, and it gives you an answer, and now all of a sudden you're in a conversation. Boy, I really see that as an accelerator to helping, personalized content, again, based on data, with respect to what's being messaged, what's the intent of the message, what's the tone, the sentiment of the message that's coming across to the customer. Because again, we're all being conditioned and have been conditioned to expect a certain digital experience, and not just digital, but also print. And when you see QR codes everywhere in the world now, you see something on a billboard or on a printed thing that's driving you from a physical world to a virtual world. Maybe I'm going to touch on augmented reality a little bit as a channel. But I see that actually being very real, and that technology exists today.
Oh, that's really interesting. Tell me a little bit more about this augmented technology.
Yeah, you think about, actually, augmented reality has been around probably since the early 2000s, maybe even in the 90s, late 90s. But you think about, you get a piece of paper, and it's something that you really don't understand, or there's something you need to do. Maybe it's it's a telecommunication bill or something where you need to go do something with your TV and set it up, right? And today, if you don't understand, all our kids know. All our kids look at these little widgets on websites and on the apps, and they know exactly what they mean, right? and so, but it's not all that clear in our world with certain communications that are regulatory, what they need to convey. So maybe a more complex escrow statement needs to be explained in some way. So augmented reality, you actually could take a picture of the QR code. And I don't know if we all remember, I'm dating myself a little bit. So Star Wars, remember R2D2, the little robot, remember when the camera came on?
Yeah.
And a little person came up and it talked to the person that was standing next to the R2D2, right?
Yeah.
That is an implementation of augmented reality, which we could do that today. So you could get something in the mail, I could get something in the mail and take a picture of the QR code, and a person comes up and actually explains to you by a real live person, not just a video. Although I see video as another channel medium that certainly is coming into play more and more in our world, where you can help mitigate the need to pick up the phone and call the call center to get an explanation, right? Or use the chat bot that doesn't work for you, right? So
right.
Yeah, so augmented reality, I see that as an up and coming channel, and we're actually looking at that type of technology as we speak.
That's exciting. That would
Pretty
be
cool
so
stuff.
cool.
Pretty cool
Star
stuff.
Wars in real life.
Yeah.
I love
Who would
it.
have thought?
Who would have thought? Somebody thought.
Yep, someone did. You bet. Yeah.
So you talk about API economy as a key trend. How can businesses ensure seamless integration of their CCM platforms with other systems? What are some challenges they might face?
Yeah, so most conversations now that we're in this space, our clients are they're in most cases leveraging a third party, what I call a data provider, an admin system, a core from the banking services side, a CIS on the utility side. They're our clients and prospects are leveraging those ecosystems to provide customer data to us so we can communicate out to their customers. So whether it be a physical channel, print, mail, push, WhatsApp, SMS, email, etc. More and more, these platforms are moving towards more of a real-time environment. We're talking actively with a mortgage servicing company that their next generation platform is really they're making a very bold statement that it absolutely is real time, and any interface integration with their CCM partners, us as an example at OSG, it needs to be real time, which means you better have APIs in order to facilitate that integration. Now, that said, that comes with some challenges, right? Many of our clients have multiple business units. They have multiple systems as their cores, their policy systems, et cetera, their CIS systems. And so bringing those together is very challenging sometimes for them, where maybe I need to fill out a form, the customer, and I need to ask through an API to a CRM system on the client side to bring back, your name, your address, and fill that in, so they don't have to type it into the form, right? So the challenge is silos within our clients' organizations and the ability for them to do that in a seamless way, because all of our clients, they recognize the need for what I historically call a center of excellence when it comes to CCM or CXM, right? They lack that. Some of the more mature companies have an actual a CCM, CXM center of excellence where they're the servicing arm for the multiple business units. So they're really the catalyst or the hub that's bringing together the integration side. But that takes time, and that's the challenges are extreme in many cases, and it's just slow. And so, as you can imagine, legacy system silos, that gets in the way. But certainly, our prospects and our clients are asking for open APIs. How can I integrate with you? They want us, and our part of our approach at OSG with our new suite is to really be an extension of their digital experiences, so the customer really doesn't see a difference, right? But they're interacting in a way that's seamless and at the point of need, meaning they may need to interact with an AI robot, if you will, and have it explain to the person about your escrow statement, right? But they don't want to leave and log out and come back in. They want that to be really seamless. So that's where APIs really can help, even if they're within our Journey Connect suite, and our client wants to use their own chatbot. That's okay, but we need to make that as seamless as possible, and APIs afford us to do that.
I understand. And so there must be challenges in terms of blending, convergence, overlap, data, repetitive data.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really how you rationalize, what's the interfaces look like, what type of data is needed. For example, preference management, you have e-sign regulation where we all opt in for digital and you don't even know it, and because you hit agree to the terms and
Agree.
conditions, right?
Yeah.
And so all of a sudden you receive an SMS or you receive an email, and now you have to opt out and actually opt back in to get something print when it comes to regulatory communication, right? And so that's an example of, well, where does their preference data sit? If you're a bank, you're collecting preferences from an online banking app more than likely, and that those preferences need to get to, and again, in the financial services, their core. So their banking back office software needs to have exposure to those preferences so it can be used with a CCM system. So the CCM system, the CXM system knows, I need to send Gary this type of communication via this channel at this time, right? Well, the timing aspect is tough because that's where that's where we'll get into a little more of the AI and using CDP platforms, customer data platforms, to help more intelligently know what and why and when and the why of why I'm sending this particular message at the time I'm sending it. So yeah, the APIs have to be really well defined, the data accessible, um, and that takes time to do, to rationalize that, again, because of our clients' legacy systems, and sometimes some cases they have data everywhere, right? They don't
Yeah.
have it either normalized or it's not aggregated in one spot.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's sort of the nature of how businesses are at this point.
Indeed.
So, in
Indeed.
this convergence of capabilities across platforms, do you have any practical tips or steps businesses can take to break down those silos and achieve this more unified view? Is it what's necessary to get that done?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's data is at the core uh, at most organizations on where that data resides, and the industry starting to blur the lines when it comes to experience platforms. You have the Adobes of the world, you have the Salesforces of the world, you even have some portal technologies that are deemed customer experience platforms, and they're interfacing in a way that's really great for that enterprise's customer. Um, but with that, there's silos within, as I mentioned, those organizations. So it really starts with the data and getting the data in a place where it's either normalized or it's in a domain that's accessible across the different business units, right? Um, uh, the platforms, where we converge with CXM, we really have to identify those interface points and make it really clear with the organization who owns the data, what data needs to be used by what component within the ecosystem. And sometimes that gets really blurry. And sometimes there's, I have debates with folks about where preference data should really live, right? It's one thing to collect it somewhere. It's another thing where it should really live and be managed and maintained and be used. And if you think about channel preference data as an example, the CCM system is really the only system that is required to execute against that data. Other systems need visibility to channel preferences, but it's the CXM system, the CCM system, that really needs to execute against that data. And so what's that interface look like? And so you got to just work out with the enterprise kind of what their philosophies are with respect to data, where it should live, what's the system of record, because you get into some of those healthy debates, and there's not necessarily a right or wrong answer. It's just you need to agree on the interface points, who's the system of record, and then you go from there.
Right. That makes sense. That makes sense. So one thing, it's sort of one issue in terms of going from where we are now and getting that integration to get the whole picture. How do you think that will change in the future? Do you think we'll be saving our data in the same places we are now and having these sort of APIs that work with it? Or do you think we will store data and manipulate that data differently?
Yeah, I think when it comes to, again, the principle of clients wanting to to communicate in a bi-directional way that's more personalized with hyper personalized messaging at the right time, messaging and communications based on behaviors, because they know if they can communicate in a way that is relevant to Gary, that they'll reduce churn or they'll achieve the call to action or whatever that might be, right? So there's the emergence, and there's many out there, but I think they're becoming more prevalent in the CCM CXM space and rapidly becoming an integral arm. And I would call it really of the three pillars. I would say the customer data platform CDPs are becoming an integral part of how we shape and enterprises shape the data that needs to be used. So data being persistent in one spot is probably not practical, right? And there's different kinds of data. So there's obviously the data that drives the creation of a communication, but there's also publicly available data that you can overlay or enrich the regulatory communication, again, a policy, a letter, a regulatory letter, a Reg E letter out of a bank or notice, a bill, a statement, whatever that might be, um, in order to enrich what is being sent out to the customer. So CDP platforms, in my mind, are very important, and that gets back a little bit to, well, in many cases, a lot with AI leveraging that data. Um, Many of our clients have, especially the marketing side, have um, I'll call it data lake infrastructure or knowledge systems that are built on top of technology like Snowflake, right? Where there's a lot of modeling done against that data. Again, some publicly available data, some private data that's core to the core, pun intended, or the admin system or whatever the system of record is when it comes to the regulatory communications, right? So some of our clients are asking, hey, Gary, how can we bridge those silos of data and bring them together? Well, I see the CDPs helping do that. And it does two things. It helps bring together the relevant data, because you don't need all the data from, let's say, um, a mortgage servicing um, system to go into the CDP or be part of the CDP's data lake, if you will, in order to achieve the results you want to achieve. Because in most cases, our clients want to view their population of their customers as segments. So this segment of people have a propensity to, I don't know, a digital adopt more or not, but they pay online 100% of the time, and they pay um, um, in a full in maybe before the due date, right? Oh, okay. So they bucket people over in that segment, and then they create a communication at an aggregate level that can go out to that set of population that's very relevant to them. So that's an example of kind of propensity modeling against a CDP platform or customer data platform to help drive personalization to that segment. But it doesn't really stop there, because our clients really, especially marketing, they want to know about us personally. What's the best message? What's the best call to action that I should ask Gary to do? And how do I know with some percentage of accuracy that he'll do it, right? And then that comes into, you know, um, looking at the future a little bit of what I think Gary's going to do, and sending out a communication in that context. So pretty exciting stuff. So I don't think we'll ever get to a place where all the data is in one place. I will say the data assets that are used, what I call digital assets that are used to build a communication, again, whether it be an email, a push to WhatsApp or to a portal, a physical communication, all those digital assets that are necessary to span channels should, for all intents and purposes, attempt to get into a digital asset management system that's shared across business units, opposed to each siloed business unit having their own set of, I have the logo for my company version 2, but the other business unit has version 1 for some reason, and all of a sudden you have a disconnect, and the customer sees kind of a disconnect when you send out a communication. So a little embarrassing, but that happens all the time. all the
Oh,
time.
really interesting. See, AI is like a really a major game changer here.
Did you say AI,
Yeah.
Elka? Yeah, oh yeah, I see AI, and again, it's interesting because the usage of AI in our business, I believe we OSG are looking at it to really help with the customer experience, rather than, but it needs to be in addition to the front end, leveraging AI to do some rationalization of content or even creating
Mm-hmm.
content. Right
Mm-hmm.
now, we all can ask ChatGPT, hey, go create me, and you give it some parameters, and it gives you a very nice looking communication. Maybe it summarizes a PowerPoint that you're going to do based on a lot of data, and it just summarizes it for you. Well,
Mm-hmm.
caution, right? Because is it really creating the right content in the right context that is appropriate for me, the client? So, but that said, um, data that drives, you know, data definitions that our clients will highlight and approve of is critical when it comes to data privacy in our world. We have to make sure because our clients want to achieve with AI certain things, but we got to be cautious on how we use AI. And so, but absolutely, it's a game changer in my mind where it's actually learning. I always use the term the computer is learning. My kids laugh at me when I say the computer, right? Dad, you're Dad, you're like
That's so
Star Trek.
true, though.
Computer, ask the computer a question. They laugh at me, but and they know I'm a techie, and they're like, "Come on, Dad, come on." So, um, but yeah, it's really AI learning with the data that it's exposed to. So large language models under the covers can be private, like we can define our own private large language models that the AI engine will use. That's really closed, and that's likely where our clients will absolutely say, hey, Gary, absolutely it needs to be closed because I need to have control over the content, the data, and what AI is going to spit out the other end, right?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, learning about the behaviors and leveraging the learnings and adapting to the learnings. So the next communication that goes out gets more personalized, becomes more relevant, and that just helps the overall bi-directional communication that our clients want to achieve.
Absolutely, I can certainly see that.
Yeah,
So we're
exciting stuff.
talking,
Exciting stuff.
yeah, yeah. And so we're talking about working with really expansive sets of data and
Hmm.
data that resides in different places. As you said, some of it is public, a lot of it is going to be private, and across business units, probably private or somehow
Hmm.
secured specific for that business unit. So clearly, data security is a critical concern. How how do you manage that? How can you balance the need to pull that personalization and data-driven insights with your obligations or each entity's obligations to protect customer information?
Yeah, great question. It's probably going to be the one of the first questions we all as providers will get when we're talking about AI and data, right?
Mhm.
Because they certainly, as I mentioned, want to achieve the goal, right? And so goals becomes really something they really need to define. So, again, back to the enterprise ideally really wants to know and have a 360 review of their customer. Well, that gets challenging when you have, again, data silos everywhere and you want to leverage the data in a secure way and use it in a secure way where it obviously supports and adheres to data privacy acts, et cetera, right?
Right.
So I think it starts with their goals. What are they trying to achieve? And what data do they require? We have an existing customer as an example that we're leveraging the same data that they send to us to produce a statement, right? But they wanted to understand, okay, what other data could I overlay or enrich that's publicly available and use that. So now all of a sudden you can start moving up your curve of understanding your customer with starting with some publicly available data. So they wanted to just know, hey, what's a propensity for Gary to adopt a digital communication, right? And so now you can look at your neighborhood, you can look at affluence, you can look at certain parameters within Gary's world that are publicly available to a CDP platform that can be used. So that's an example of kind of starting slow, um, but they certainly need to and want to evolve and leverage other data in and glean those insights. So obviously there's entities like us that can help them not necessarily persist that data, because they can persist that data on their side of the firewall. That's okay. In fact, one of our clients in their marketing group, they have a Snowflake infrastructure, right? And they control it and they own it. It's not in my ecosystem in my Journey Connect suite at OSG, but they do want metrics, analytics, heuristics about journeys and touch points that their customers go through. So they can take that data and put it into, in this case, it was a Snowflake environment. So now the AI engine on top of Snowflake can learn more about what's going on. So the data can be on our client side of the fence. It could reside with us, and then you get into, in most cases, contractually, it's how you're using the data. You show how you're going to secure it, secure it in our environment. What are all the controls around that? So yes, we're SOC 2. What's that mean? And then contractually, you can handle some of those things with a client.
Very interesting. Very interesting. Many layers of issues.
There are not necessarily an easy task for providers like ourselves, but an important one, because again, the goal is our clients really want to leverage the data the best way, the most secure way, in order to achieve the goals. So it goes back to the goals. What are they trying to achieve?
Yeah, that makes sense. I understand. So tell me a little bit about Explore, XPLOR.
Yeah, so OSG was the first time they attended Explore. I've attended Explore in my previous life, and so that was a venue that we actually highlighted our launch of the Journey Connect suite. We showed some with our partners a communication that actually won an Application of the Year award, which was very exciting. It's the first award, to my knowledge, that OSG's received. So very cool stuff. It helped really give us some visibility. I was a keynote speaker who talked a lot about what we're talking about here, right? And so it was really fun to get analysts on board with us and what we're doing and educating them and kind of getting that next level of OSG. Hey, we're a formidable, CXM entity out there, if you will, that we think we have a differentiator in the marketplace, and getting really good feedback. So it was a great experience this year with Explore, and one of my colleagues is on the board there, so we love that venue and enjoyed getting in front of them, and again, that award was something that was a little bit unexpected. We threw it in the hat and was like surprised a little bit that we got it, given this was our first rodeo, if you will, attending it at Explore. So.
Well, congratulations on the award.
Thank you.
That was a significant achievement, as you said, first time entering, and there you go.
Thank you. Yeah, it was
really
great.
Does speak to what you guys are doing, so that's impressive.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah. So what predictions do you have for the future of your work in the next 5 years? And clearly we've seen significant changes, I'd say probably just in the last 1 year.
Yeah.
With AI. What do you see over the next 5 years?
I continue AI. That's going to bolster, 70% I read of CIOs are going to look at AI over the next year, and how that is introduced into their communications environments, right? Which includes us to help support them. CCM, the term CCM, I think is going to go away. I think the acronyms out there are going to be Customer Experience Management, IXM, which is interactivity or interaction experience management, all these acronyms, right? That drive us all crazy. But I think it's really automation. We're going to see more and more automation on the onboarding side, leveraging AI to help onboard quicker, time to market, time to revenue faster. So AI is going to help there. AI certainly, as I mentioned, will continue to evolve. I do believe digital assistants, the technology exists today to say, hey, Alexis, I'd like to pay my bill. Mm-hmm. Right? That I see more and more of that happening. I see augmented reality coming in to play, where we have personalized videos where the video is actually, you can interact with it It's built off of the data we get every day from our clients. Just like I would create a PDF document for print purposes, I can create a video on the fly from that same data set that's very personalized, where you can interact with it. You could actually put a form, the video could pause and it could pop up a form, and now you could interact with the form. And the form, I think, is another prediction where forms are going to be more interactive, and they're going to be more orchestrated to you, meaning they're dynamically going to change based on your answer, and then pop you back into the video, and the video continues, right? And then that's using that data, and maybe it's going to use that data that you just entered in the form to change the video on the fly.
Wow.
That's pretty cool. I'm like, my head gets wrapped around that a little bit. Go, okay, what's the use case for that? And I'm sure there's many, but I can't come up with too many right now. But I bet there's many, many as we talk to our clients that,
I can imagine.
I could see that. Gosh, and it's interesting. It is incredible, yeah. And so, so I see that interaction of at more of a micro level, right? It's more, at the point of need, I need to do something. And maybe that something is triggered from what I see or learn from the video. And I have to ask AI a question. And that comes back and says, oh, okay, here's the answer. And now you continue in the form, right? But it's really kind of, I see 3 to 5 years that are predicting behaviors will become almost mainstream and almost required. Oh, wait, what do you mean, Gary? You can't predict what you're going to do in this journey. Come on. You know enough about Gary to predict they're going to hit that pay button early. You know that. Oh, okay. And if I can predict that, I can predict DSO for a customer in their treasury management system. Now that's powerful. And our legacy with OSG is billing. Probably 70 to 80% of all our communications trigger some kind of event, a call to action. In most cases, it's to pay something, right?
Mm-hmm.
So predicting Gary's behavior on payments, right, or digital adoption, or oh boy, don't send Gary a text, because in the past his behavior has been not to do that. But boy, he fills out a form and he watches videos and he interacts with the communication, and I see learning the again, back to AI, learning when we have technology today within our system. When you are maybe you're interacting with an escrow statement, you don't understand it, and you're navigating around and asking and inquiring questions on it, and you hit pay and you go, oh, never mind, I didn't understand something, and you go back. We're tracking all of your behavior at an aggregate level to show the client how you're behaving, and that's all fed back, right? So predictability, in my opinion, is going to become mainstream, and then more intelligence that's behind the why and the goal of the client in producing whatever they're going to produce. Again, because their goals are to slow churn, to get you to call to action, whatever that is, and to make the experience great, because they know they need to. Because look at the online banking apps we all interact with. Look at Amazon. Look at all the big tech that we all interact every day. The hotels that have great apps now where you can pick your room, and you can check in online. And if I can't do that in 2 years, I'm not going to go to that hotel. I can't check online. I can't use my app. No, I'm going to Marriott, or I'm going to Hilton, or I'm going to whatever, right? I'm gonna jump. So
true.
Yeah. So interaction experience management, that's going to be a real thing, and there's some overlap with what I call CXM, but it's more micro level interacting with a communication.
Incredible stuff.
Cool.
Really
Cool.
impressive.
Cool.
It's like you're bringing science fiction to life.
A little bit.
I love it.
Again, some of it's a little scary, but some of it's, boy, harnessing it, harnessing AI, because that's going to be, the big talk of 25 through 20, probably 2030 is the use of AI. We're going to probably see regulations with AI. We're going to see regulations with data being used by AI, right? We're gonna see those come to fruition.
I definitely agree. Definitely see that brewing very, very early.
Indeed, indeed.
Awesome. Well, this has been interesting and exciting. And I have one final question for you that we do ask all our podcast guests, and I did not prepare you for.
Uh-oh, here it comes. Okay.
Here it comes. What keeps you up at night?
What keeps me up at night? Well, my daughter driving from Chattanooga to Nashville in the storms.
Oh, I feel that pain.
But maybe more relevant to your question is when it comes to our business, it's how fast can our clients move? That keeps me up at night. Is we have all this technology, they understand and recognize the need and agree but how fast they can move, right? So we as providers in the CXM world obviously are trying to become, innovators of technology as hopefully you've gleaned from our interview here. But getting them to move. So that's what keeps me up at night is how fast our customers can move. Because they want to move fast, but is it in reality, how quickly can they move? Compliance, data security, marketing, legal, all come into play when it comes to, hey, what's this paragraph that needs to go through an approval process that an AI engine created on the fly because I asked it to. But oh wait, I got to get it approved. So yeah, I think it's how fast that keeps me up at night. How fast can our clients move and our prospects move?
Yeah, I can see that. I totally understand that. And this is you're in an arena that literally is moving at lightning speed.
Indeed, we are trying. Yep.
Well, thank you so much for being here with me today, Gary, and sharing your insights. I learned a lot.
Great. No, happy to do it. And anytime you want to reach out, we can chat again. So appreciate the time with y'all.
Oh, thank you. I'll take you up on that at some point.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for joining us for the Think Factory podcast. This is Alka Bahal. See you next time.